In the darkest nights, we find our light. Battered souls, but we won't lose sight. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, we stand tall. United forever. Strength and courage will overcome. Oh, surviving together, victorious, never, never alone. Hand in hand, we'll face the unknown.
We see you, we hear you, and we believe you. Hey, everyone. How you doing? I think we're going to have a small show today. It's beautiful here in Michigan, at least. So I don't know where it is, where you guys are, but welcome to Surviving Together, a safe space for trauma survivors to connect and build community together on their healing journeys, as well as providing trauma-related education for all. And that is definitely what we are going to be diving into today. We are going to be talking about pain and depression and the link between the two. And let's just jump right in. So pain and depression, vicious cycle. They often occur together because pain can cause depression. Conversely, depression can cause pain. And so you end up with this just cycle of pain and depression, and how do you break that? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Hey, Crystal, how's it going? Hope you're doing well today. Excuse me. So depression can cause pain in unexplained ways, in your joints, in limbs, headaches, backaches, and this is often a chronic type pain. And we internalize a lot of our emotions and that stress, and that can cause us to express that depression in physical manifestations. So actual pain in our bodies that don't have any other explanation for it. You can't find a source for your backache or why your joints hurt or the headaches that you're having. And conversely, when you have pain, especially chronic type pain, this can cause depression, because think about it. You've got an increase of stress on your body and mentally. So physically and mentally, you've got an increase of stress going on. You often will have trouble sleeping, trouble concentrating. It's more difficult to do things, whether that's your daily tasks or whether it just, bothers you for, bigger things. Often our self-esteem takes a hit because of this, because we can't do the things that we want to do, or we're not able to focus and concentrate like we did. And so we're not as good at our job, and, just hurting all the time. It can be we can feel like a burden to those around us, and we don't want to talk about it because we don't want to burden other people, because what are we going to talk about? It's there day after day after day. So actually, chronic pain, people who suffer from chronic pain are actually 4 times more likely to develop depression or have their depression symptoms worsen because of this chronic pain. So it's a significant issue. Also, the number of body parts that are affected by pain increases your chances of getting depression or having your depression symptoms worsen as well. Hi, Shell. How you doing today? Glad you joined us. So, why does this happen? Well, biologically speaking, scientifically, in our body, pain and depression actually share the same pathways as certain neurotransmitters like serotonin and norepinephrine. And we've also discovered how much our gut is linked to our depression, which is something that science hadn't recognized even 5 years ago. And this is something that the science is still kind of figuring out as to how to address it. Um, we've heard about probiotics and prebiotics and the importance of eating healthy. And it's not just to have a healthy body, but it's also to have a healthy mind. So, in terms of treatments, making sure that your gut is balanced and that you're getting the proper nutrients is actually critical to helping to control your depression. They also believe that systemic inflammation, so inflammation that you have throughout your body because of the chronic pain, also play a role in the increase in depression symptoms or in causing the depression. Hey Shannon, how you doing today? Hope you're well. And the science is, it seems, every year there's new stuff that they're discovering about depression, about the sources of depression. And, chronic pain, we have learned that our brain perceives chronic pain differently than it perceives acute pain. So that chronic pain where your back, it just hurts all the time, right? Versus I break my toe, which, I did. And I bound and determined to, I think, break the same one because I can't step around my kitchen table to save my soul, it seems. But what happens with chronic pain is your brain is trying to protect yourself from this pain. So any little thing, it's like, whoa, oh, warning bells, warning bells, warning bells. We got pain, we got pain. And so it is overactive in regards to recognizing pain and reacting to it and telling you about it. And there's there's been some really interesting research. One of the reasons that I wanted to bring this up, in terms of treatment, we've got your typical cognitive behavioral therapy, so talk therapy, which they have found has been effective for people in not only managing depression symptoms, but also in managing pain. Medication, of course. Relaxation techniques. When we're able to relax our minds and get our minds and our brain waves kind of acting differently, we can ignore the pain actually. I don't know all the science behind it, but basically, your brain is not thinking about it. And so it's not sending those warning bells off to you constantly. So any relaxation techniques that you can learn, anything like breathing and yoga, all the typical stuff that we've talked about. They found hypnosis is actually very helpful. I know that one of our subs has spoken about his journey with hypnosis and how that has definitely helped with his pain. and it is proven to be effective for depression as well. Um, I, to my knowledge, have never been effectively hypnotized. Any of these YouTube videos that say, let's do sleep hypnosis or, relaxation hypnosis or whatever. You know, we count back from 10, we walk down the stairs or we walk up the stairs and, my brain's still active and thinking. I'm not a very visual person in my mind. So it's really hard for me to get into that space, I think. So, but some people find relief with that. And, whether it's a professional who is going through the hypnosis with you, which I think is probably the most effective because they can guide you. They know about, what to say and how they're guiding you away from the pain or the depression or whatever. But there are YouTube videos out there that if they do nothing else, they're often very relaxing. So you can use it just as another relaxation technique. Um, there is a fascinating new gadget out there, I'll call it. And this is by a university in Australia. So the University of New South Wales, Sydney, has pioneered something called Pain Wave. And what it is, and they've done it they've 3D printed basically like what looks like a VR headset, and for only like $300, which is incredibly affordable for people versus, $1,000, $2,000. Now, I get it. $300 might be as well be the moon for some people. It certainly is for me. I was off work for 2 weeks, and then I got a job, and then I had migraines for like 4 out of the 7 days that we had to work. So, I get it, but certainly much more affordable than some of these other options. So the idea is that they would sell this unit, and it's got a couple of electrodes, I think, that come down and are put on your head or whatever, and it's monitoring your brain waves. And they've only done a really small study right now. They're getting ready to launch another study that has like 224 people, I think, spinal cord injury people. And they're testing this mainly for nerve pain right now, because what they've been able to do is identify these abnormal brain patterns that are firing off, that are going in terms of how it recognizes nerve pain. I'm excited about this because I don't know if I'll ever get off my Lyrica. I hope to, but for my sciatica, it's an issue where I have scar tissue from a previous back surgery that pushes up against my sciatic nerve bundle right at the base of my spine. And whenever the muscle that's deep within my butt gets even slightly tense, it inflames, and that pushes on the scar tissue, which pushes on the sciatic nerve. So I know that losing the weight for me is key. I didn't notice it as much when I was lighter. Just don't have as much fat that I'm carrying around. There's not as much stuff, right, to be pushing up against any of the inflamed area. But so in this very, 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 it's itty bitty study, they're trying to do, I think this is just fascinating. So you wear this headset, and they've got this game that you do basically through the VR, just like you would, any other virtual reality. It's a virtual reality headset, and you play this game. And what it does, they say, um, it teaches the users. I'll just read this. It teaches the users to regulate abnormal brain activity that is linked to chronic nerve pain. And what it's doing by the game that you're playing and how you do it, it is actually retraining your brain and creating different neural pathways and trying to, it says, regulate your emotions, which it has to do with, I think, theta waves and delta waves and, stuff that gets way farther, beyond me. But it's helping to redo all these pathways so your brain isn't constantly going, warning bell, you've got pain, you've got pain, you've got pain. Because, like I said, when you have chronic pain, your brain interprets that differently than if you have an acute pain, if you just, injure yourself. And that's why it can be so much more difficult to deal with, because not only are you trying to get rid of the source of your pain, but you also are having to calm your brain down from thinking about this chronic pain and how it's reacting to what it's sensing as danger, pain. So it's a real tricky thing, chronic pain. But I read about this the other day and I thought, man, how awesome would that be for people with nerve pain? And, I don't know if they have to then identify specifically for, if you've got a different type of chronic pain, if it's not, related to nerve. Um, let's say you've got chronic pain that has been brought about because of depression. It doesn't have a particular cause, a biological source, right? That you can pinpoint in the body and saying, this is causing you the pain. We fix that and then we'll fix the pain. Or somebody who has fibromyalgia, where you've just got, pain everywhere. So I don't know if it would be different for a different type of pain, but that they're doing research in this regard, I just think is absolutely fabulous. Hey, Carmel. And I'm so excited about it because every time I read about a new therapy for depression or pain, it shows me where the science is going. Excuse me, I'm going to be coughing. Hang on a second, guys. I realized I removed myself, but I didn't mute myself, so that didn't go so well. There was something recent with depression that I wanted to mention too, and I couldn't find it again. It was an article that I just came across real quick, and I thought, oh, that was something that I wanted to mention. But I think it was more science, just science related. It wasn't a therapy for depression. But the things that I am reading about with depression and the gut, and how making sure that we have those prebiotics and those probiotics in our bodies, and, you know, having that balanced is something that I'm really keenly aware of right now and I'm excited about because, I just had a meeting, a virtual visit with my doctor, my women's specialist doctor. She specializes in menopause and women's health and all that. And I am getting off my last depression med. So on Monday, I'm going to start titrating down. I'm going to start, weaning myself off of it. And it looks like it's going to take about 3 or 4 weeks. So hopefully by the end of July, as long as everything goes okay, I will be totally off that medication, which means I won't have any antidepressants. So one of the things we talked about was making sure that my gut health was good in terms of then helping to manage, any symptoms that I have. Because when you've been on antidepressants for as long as I have, it's really hard to tell when you start realizing about trauma and what it does to your body, how you hold on, how your body holds on to it. When you start realizing, like at my age, or even somebody who's 30, 35, can start perimenopause, when our hormones start changing, that can have drastic effects on our moods. So, is our inability to cope, is it because of depression? Is it because of lack of serotonin in our heads? Um, a lot of serotonin is actually generated in our gut, they're finding out. And that's why there's this huge link to depression. Because, like I said, depression and pain, they share pathways, neurotransmitter pathways. And so serotonin, being uh, ba-dum-bum-bum, serotonin being one of the neurotransmitters, and the norepinephrine, being the other. So I'm going to start. I'm going to start on Sunday, actually, but I'm going to start taking kefir. So it's a drink, a liquid. It's a milk. It's a fermented type milk, and they make it in different flavors. And she said, take at least 8 ounces of that a day. But I also have to make sure that I'm getting enough fiber intake, because for it to be effective, it needs fiber. So it's really interesting how all these things kind of connect. So I'm going to have to make sure that I have my fiber intake, that I'm getting, that I'm taking the kefir. Shell says kefir is amazing. I'm really excited about it. Um, I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I don't know what the source of mood issues are anymore. It's been so long since I've been without any well, I started on my first antidepressant when I was 25, and I definitely needed it then, because what they told you would feel like as soon as it starts to be effective was exactly what I felt. I mean, I remember sitting in the car on my way. I don't know if I was on my way home for work, but I remember that I was at Drake and Main, and I was on Main Street, and I remember going, "Oh my gosh, I don't feel that pressure cooker anymore." It's just kind of like this. And so I knew I needed it at that point. Now, did I need to stay on it for 25 years? Probably not. But we've learned so much now in terms of, causes. And at that point in my life too, I was still pretty early on my healing journey, with all of my trauma. I really didn't start healing until I was in my early 20s, um, seriously taking that path and trying to figure things out. And even then, I didn't have a trauma informed therapist. There really wasn't such a thing back then, at least, not easily accessible. It wasn't something that we knew to even look for. So I loved my therapist, but we kind of dealt with everyday problems, what was going on in my life then, and just trying to deal with that. We never got to root trauma. It was kind of my just own personal journey, without the support of a therapist for walking through that. So we'll see how it goes. Just looking at the chat here. I don't know how to make these smaller, but Crystal says the pain makes the depression worse, which makes the pain worse, and it just continues. Yeah, it goes round and round. So there's days I want to give up. Depression and the pain gets so bad. But you don't want to harm yourself. That is good. That is very good. And this kind of leads in, I think, to what I want to talk about here for the ending of the show. And that is, with depression, with a lot of mental conditions, just having support, any kind of support, can make us feel really good. Sometimes we just need to feel seen. We, having somebody be kind to us, even in the smallest way. Feeling like we matter in this world can really brighten your day. I know when someone's done something and it can carry me through a day, depending, on what it is and the situation and myself that day, as well as when we give, that makes us feel good. So that can actually help with depression as well, doing something for somebody else. So I'm probably going to put out, hey, DeAudrey, how you doing? Hope you are well today. I don't know if I'm going to put it out as a community post or a short video or something of that nature. I may just announce it at the next live again first and then kind of see how things go. In pain, oh, I'm so sorry, DeAudrey. Believe me, I get it. I have been dealing with migraines I'm okay right now, but it's just like it wouldn't take too much to kind of push me back into pain land. I know where my head is right now. So I'm keeping an eye on the weather and trying to decide if the barometric pressure is going to be changing, if the air pressure is going to be changing too much to push me back into there. Because if you guys don't know or don't remember, last week with After the Bars, with Sammy, with After the Bars, we started covering the Canadian hockey trial, the hockey players who are on trial for sexual assault of a woman. They have, both sides have rested their case, and the judge is going to issue her opinion, her verdict in about a month, just very different than the US, but I don't know your Canadian system quite as well. So we're going to be covering the actual trial. Last week, we kind of covered the basic background and what had happened, kind of leading up to trial, because there was so much that happened before the trial actually got going. So tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, I do believe we're still on for it. I've got it scheduled. So if you guys want to tune in tonight, I will definitely be streaming that from my channel. Not kind of, DeAudrey, kind of. She asks, is this a bit of a flashback to the lacrosse thing in the 90s? Basically, a woman went home voluntarily. She went back to a hotel room voluntarily with one hockey player, had consensual sex, and he ended up calling a lot of his buddies over. And there were subsequent acts. And, she felt like she couldn't leave. And it was a big trauma. basically a very big trauma for her of what ended up unfolding for the rest of the night. So the trial really is all about consent. Did she consent to these acts? You've got some people saying, yes, she was asking for it. I mean, literally asking for it. And then if you view the evidence in a different way, depending on who you believe, you could see that her consent was really a non-consent. So we're going to be walking through the testimony of the players, of the survivor in this case. There's other teammates who were there who did not end up being charged, who testified. And we're just going to kind of walk through all of that. It'll be I'm very interested to see what the judge does with it. There was a jury. They dismissed the jury because there was some issue about potential misconduct on the defense's part, and so they ended up dismissing the jury. And rather than calling an absolute mistrial and having to do everything all over again, everybody decided that, okay, we'll just go ahead with just the judge. Thanks, Kermel. Thanks for pulling that up. So yeah, that's the link to the hockey stream tonight that we'll be doing, 9 p.m. Eastern. But back to these little things that can make us feel good. So you guys all know that we spent a couple of months doing the clothesline project and gathering that all together. Well, I have another project for you. And I wore this shirt just because today, this little thing, it says, "You matter." And on the back, there's a saying, just, to anybody following me, just remember that you're wonderful and you're kind, and, remember that. So I absolutely love this shirt, but you matter. So I am calling this the You Matter messages. And what I'm tasking you guys to do is to leave notes for somebody, just reminding them that they matter, that you see them, that they're stronger than they think, that they're still here, putting one foot in front of the other. And you can do this anonymously. People have put notes in library books. People have left notes on like cafe tables, or written something on the receipt that you get for the restaurant. So it's kind of a note to the server. Anywhere where somebody, might find it who you think could use a little pick-me-up. If you're not out in the world as much, kind of like I am, you can do it closer to home. So for me, it would be leaving a note for my son. I'll leave it on the kitchen counter where I know he's going to see it when he grabs his lunch in the morning. Just something to let him know I'm thinking about him and that he matters. Or do it for your spouse. Or if you're over at somebody's house helping them. For me, I think about my parents. I'm over there helping clean or do something, or, I'll be over there tomorrow for Father's Day, leaving a little note behind for them to find. I know where I can leave one that I know my mom would definitely find. I could leave something on my dad's nightstand where he's going to be the one to get that, or his desk, because that's just, my mom has no need to go up there. And if you don't have either of those options, leave a note for yourself. Maybe leave it in an unexpected place, somewhere where you would go, but you're not quite there absolutely every day. So when you come across it, you're like, I think about my top drawer of my bathroom. I'm not in it every day, but at least multiple times a week. And if I laid just a slip of paper there and wrote a note to me just to remind myself that, hey, you're doing this. You're braver than you think. You're stronger than you know. Hold your head up high. Any type of thing that you want to say. One other place that you can leave it is comments on different videos. You know, somebody may come and watch the body memories video and be like, "Oh my gosh." And they may realize something, or one of the grooming videos, and just leaving a comment just for anybody to find who may have watched that video, may have had a realization or an epiphany, or maybe it hit home. And then if they're scrolling through the comments, you come across a comment that says, "You're okay. Trauma does not define you." Yeah, your name's there, so it's not anonymous, but it's something that somebody wouldn't expect. You're speaking directly to them. You can say, to whoever is reading this, just want to let you matter. Hey, Misha, how you doing? Hope you're doing well today. So that is my project for you guys. And I don't know how long I'm going to do this for, but my idea is I would love for you to take a photo of whatever message that you leave for somebody and email it to me, survivingtogether, sass@gmail.com. And you can put "You Matter" message in the subject line. And I want to collect these. If you leave a comment on a video, take a screenshot of it and send that to me. Or if you're on the computer, you can do the little snip and send that to me. And I want to collect these for a while and let's see what we come up with. If it's a comment that you leave, you can always just kind of black out or, put a red stripe or something over your name. If you don't want your name associated with it, that's totally fine. Let's spread the love. Spread the kindness. Deaudrey, actually, Shell says, "Great idea, Mac. My cousin is an artist and she leaves painted rocks with affirmations all over her community for people to find." That is fabulous. That is absolutely wonderful. If you have pictures of that, or if she has, pictures of stuff that she's done and you want to send those in, that's wonderful. That's much more creative than I'm even thinking. I'm just like, leave a slip of paper somewhere, but that's a wonderful idea as well. Crystal says, "I house sat for someone on their honeymoon. I got a few people to write encouragement and put them around the house for them to find. They found more as they packed to move." Aw, that is lovely. See? And I bet when they were finding them, it probably just made their hearts sing. Misha says, "I do that 24/7. It feels like." I'm thinking that you probably mean comments because I know you comment a lot on things. Yeah. So that's my challenge to you. My task that I'm tasking you all with. So we have "You Matter" message project "You Matter" messages, or just project "You Matter." I don't know what sounds better. "You Matter" messages. I kind of like that, but it doesn't go well with project, right? So I'm thinking about, what I can do. I know, family, I can do it around the house for my son. I know there's places that his girlfriend might, find something too, because I can always just address it to her. My son would leave it for her. I have my family. I don't go out as much, but sometimes I'm at the gas station convenience store and I'm thinking, I could just leave something there at the counter for the next person who ends up in line behind me, right? Or just give it to the person who's manning the counter. Give it to the clerk. So I want to see what we come up with. I think that as a community, if we really get behind this and start doing this, that we might feel a difference in ourselves. Especially if you're doing it anonymously, you never know when somebody's going to get it. But just knowing that you did that maybe you made somebody's day. And you can take it a step further and just challenge yourself that the next time you're at the store, you're going to compliment one person. Ma'am, that is a lovely skirt. Or, sir, I love your baseball cap. Whatever it is. Whether you truly do or don't does not matter. That's a great shade of lipstick. It just little things that can totally change somebody's outlook on the day. So I challenge you to do that. Let's see. Exactly, exactly. And this is where I first heard about it. The first time this happened to me, I was like, what? I didn't get it. I thought somebody like just left their bookmark, like they had just written something and it was their bookmark and they just left it there, not realizing it was some sort of affirmation that they were passing on. Now I understand it. I feel like such a dunce. So yeah, slipping in library books or anywhere else that you've got communal supplies. Just don't be one of those people who hands out religious tracts. Yeah, we want to stay away from the Jesus will save you type of thing. Let's just let's keep it a little more neutral, and that way it can apply to anybody, no matter what their spirituality is, if they even have it. Misha says, "Yeah, the unexpected positivity is very fulfilling, at least for me. I don't get the usual rewards, but I do get the pick me up knowing sometimes the others' comments have changed my day. So why not?" And I think the more this happens and the more we do it, I know that the more I volunteer, the more I give back, the more shows that I do. And I see that there's actually people showing up who want to hear what I have to say and feel like I'm helping people. Even if I'm not feeling so great that day, I always feel better. And it may not carry me through the entire day, but it's just that little extra much. And for me, now going off my antidepressants, I need every little extra bonus I can possibly get to make sure that, I'm managing my moods and that I'm doing everything I can to, counteract that loss of that antidepressant. So taking the kefir, making sure that I'm getting good gut health and making sure that I'm trying to stay as positive as possible is going to be really important for me in these next 4 to 6 weeks. So we'll kind of see. Um, hey, Lord Kistreak, what's up? Glad you're here. Thank you. Audrey says, I think complimenting people's choice of color and clothing is always pretty safe. Yeah. In general, I do agree. Occasionally, occasionally you do get the person who's just like, oh, I hate this. I just put this on. And you're like, yeah, you can't win with everybody, right? But you can try. Have I spoken to my doctor about this? Yes, Misha. Yes, I have spoken to my doctor. We are on a plan to wean off. So I've got my whole schedule. I actually wrote it down on a note somewhere here. I'm going to have to find it. But yes, so I'm starting Monday and we're going to be weaning off. The wean schedule is 3 weeks, may extend it to 4 or 5, depending on how I'm feeling with it, how I'm doing with it. We're just going to have to see. So anything that I can do to counteract, getting off of that and staying positive, I am going to try. So that means that I really, really have to be committed to my walking. Just that little bit of activity, not only the physical activity, which is releasing those endorphins and all those feel good chemicals in our body, but just getting out of my house, because I work from home, I just don't have a need to go out too much. And I get my energy drinks delivered to me from Amazon. So I don't have to go out a whole lot. So by doing the walking, it's going to force me to do it. And basically, I have committed to doing it in the morning. Actually, I'm going to do it before I have my coffee in the morning because I want to see if I get up and I get moving, am I waking up? Because I really need to be less reliant on caffeine right now. I do. So I want to try and see if that's going to help. And then, I'll treat myself to my coffee when I get back, of course, but maybe I won't consume quite as much during the day. So we'll have to see. Georgie says, went for a short walk in the forest today. It's really good, but my fibro's slightly pissed. Yeah, when you have that chronic pain, it is a balancing act, right? Because exercise and movement is actually really good for your chronic. However, we have to monitor how much we do so we're not aggravating things, too much. So it is a delicate balance, and I completely get off. I completely get that. Oh, interesting. Geology says, I try to avoid caffeine so it will actually help when I have a migraine. Because I do take, if I'm in bad headache mode, but not quite migraine land, I do take a medication that's basically aspirin and caffeine. And I will try and maybe have a little bit of coffee or something like that because my blood vessels get constricted because of the air pressure. So anything I can do to kind of expand them, and the caffeine helps. And I never thought about it that way. Oh my gosh, Shell just said the exact same thing that I did. So Tiandra, that's a good idea. I never thought about it like that. Yeah. So that it'll be more about, especially right now, I know that generally about 2 times a year my headaches are bad. And it used to be like March, April, but it seems like every year things are shifting. The weather patterns are shifting. So it also used to be like October, November, and now it was like November, December. And this year I really didn't have them until like the very, very tail end of May, and then into June's been awful. So I'm kind of like, get through June, and then I shouldn't have to worry about it too much, maybe an occasional until December. And I'm thinking it's probably going to be December. I thought I got through. It was like April, May, even though we had some storms and stuff, I was still okay. And I was like, I woke up and it was storming, and I'm like, I don't have a headache though. What the heck? Don't know what I'm doing differently, but knock on wood, I'm not going to, look a gift horse in the mouth. Woohoo. I thought I skated by it. Boy, was I wrong. Oh, hey, Hamana, how are you? I think somebody said Clint was here too. Is the Gen X effect popped in? Yeah, Gen X effect popped in too. So hello to both of you. I think that's everybody who slipped in. We stopped drinking coffee last year. Wow. Wow. The only time I've stopped drinking caffeine totally was during my pregnancy. And it's amazing, when you have something like that that you're, committed to in terms of you have another life depending on you. It was like, nope, I'm not going to do this. Absolutely not. And it's like, why can't I do that now? Even though I don't have another life growing inside me, I have my life. And so when I think about these things and I don't want to do something, or I'm putting it off, or I'm not eating right, I'm trying to think back to that time when I had another life growing inside me and how easy it was for me to say, no, I can't, because this little person is depending on me to be right, to grow right, right, to evolve, to do all the stuff that it needs to do and not poison its body. So why am I not thinking about that the same when it's just me? It makes no sense when you think about it. So it's kind of an epiphany I had trying to trying to figure that out, and treat myself just as important as when I had another life growing inside of me, because I've only got this one body. And although my son doesn't depend on me anymore, he still wants his mom around for as long as possible. So why shouldn't I be doing everything possible to make sure I am the best version of myself? And health wise, eating and exercise, those are my downfalls, guys. I 100% admit it. I hate cooking for one. And, I it's a struggle, but I've got the key for things settled in the morning, and I've got my protein powders that I can actually put with it and bulk it up. And I've got some morning omelet recipes that I think I'm going to do, not first thing in the morning, but maybe mid-morning, or that may be my lunch. And then I've been much better trying to make dinners for my son, so that he has something left over for lunch the next day, something better to eat than just a sandwich at work. And so most of the time there's at least a dinner there that I can get. I just need to remember to eat it, and then not forget. And then he's eaten most of it and the rest of it's already like saved for his lunch. And then I go, okay, I'll have a bowl of cereal. No, I got that. I got to cut that out. Misha says, I've quit much in my life. The things that still got me beat is coffee and cigs. Those are my kryptonite now. Yeah, that is tough. I certainly, um, coffee is coffee can be my downfall. I say caffeine. Caffeine can be my downfall. And a lot of it is, I have that natural biorhythm where about 3 o'clock I'm feeling the head nod and whatnot. And so maybe it ends up that I have to switch my exercise to noon or to 2 or something, so that I'm more energized at that time when I'm my biorhythms are normally like naturally down, to give myself that boost. Um, Whether it's a walk or whether it's, just doing some isometric exercises like, some push-ups and some squats or something, just remembering to do it and making, you got to make it a priority. It has to be important to you. And again, I think back to when I was pregnant, how important it was to me that I was the healthiest that I possibly could be, for my son. Save for ice cream, I gained a lot of weight when I had him. I will 100% admit that. I ate ice cream like it was going out of style. That was my kryptonite. Um, Salads and I mean, anything healthy sounded just awful. Oh gosh, it was funny. But alcohol, cigarettes, caffeine, I was on the straight and narrow with all of that, right? Hey, Kid Rock, how are you doing today? Hope things are well in your universe. Yeah, eating for two, right? I always said I had baby weight. It just took me 15 years to lose it. I finally lost it. Oh gosh, that is interesting, Deaudrey. So I've noticed that if I have caffeine for my headache, it makes my back hurt more. Huh. See, it just goes to show you how interconnected our bodies are with things, right? There's so much still that science doesn't understand that I'm sure we're going to look at stuff 10 years from now and go, wow, why, we didn't know that back then, but geez, that makes so much sense, if I would have only known. So it's going to be interesting seeing where things are in 25 years. Hopefully I make it that long. Should. I should make it a good 25, 30 more years at least. Um, you guys had a few comments also that I wanted to highlight, and I missed as it was going by. Oh, for one, Clint, thank you for reminding me. Yes, smash that like button. Um, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Make sure to check the all bell for notifications to make sure you get notifications when I'm live. Like I said, I should be live tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time, covering the actual testimony of the Canadian hockey players' trial. They have done closing arguments. All the evidence has been presented. So Sammy and I are going to start going through that. I don't know if we're going to get through it all because the way that I have organized it, it's like my lawyer mind. So it's kind of a lot of information. So we'll just have to start through it and we'll see. Yep. Okay. Yeah, most of it was about my medication and you guys making sure that I was gonna be okay. Oh, this is what I wanted to answer. For Crystal says, "Are you going to be okay if you find that it won't work for you, going off of it?" Yes. That's definitely something my doctor and I talked about and said, "Listen, let's give this a try. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But, maybe we discover that I can go back on at a smaller dose." Because, I mean, I'm not a super high dose, but I'm at a decent amount dose right now. So, it's possible that I could cut back to 30 milligrams, once a day, versus what I'm, taking now. I don't know if it goes lower than that. Because I think I first got started on 30. But yeah, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But that's why I'm gonna try and do everything that I can to try to combat, the depression, especially, since I'm going off of that. Let's do everything I can to combat depression, mood stabilizing, so exercising, making sure my gut is in line, uh, positive affirmations. This, for you latecomers, if you didn't hear, I've started a You Matter message project. And so my challenge to you guys is to leave a message out there in the world for somebody to find, whether it is a note on your restaurant bill, for your server, or a little slip of paper in a library book, or on the counter, or at the grocery store. Oh, that's what I wanted to. Crystal says that, because Crystal works in retail, and she says she leaves little notes around, and I think that's absolutely wonderful. So, Crystal, my challenge to you then is take a picture next time you do that. Take a picture and email it to me, and I want to collect these. And like I said, if you can't do it out in the world, do it at home. Do it for whoever lives with you, and if you don't live with anybody, do it for yourself. Put them where you find it. Put it where you find it maybe next week, because it's someplace that you don't go all that often. But maybe you'll just discover it when you least expect it. So that is what I challenge you guys to do. And like I said, I don't know how long I'm gonna leave this project open for. We'll just kind of have to see what kind of response we get. And the other option was to leave a comment on a video. There's a lot of videos that we have covered that are tough subjects. You can look at some of the comments and people go, I didn't realize this. If I had only known this information, 10 years ago, or gosh, it's really good to find this information out now because of what I'm going through. And so just, writing a little note that just says, hey, if you're reading this, and whatever you want to say, take a little screenshot of it. Send me that. If you don't want to have your name, just scribble your name out, or let me know and I'll do it. If you don't want to have your name associated with it, that's fine. But I want to collect them, and I want to put together a montage, kind of like we did with the clothesline project. So I'm imagining we're going to do this for, at least a month or so. Who knows? Maybe we'll do it till the end of July or the end of the summer. I don't know. We'll just kind of see how it goes. Oh, Misha, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, this is kind of the last thing for me to address. And those of you who have already donated, thank you so much. It means so much. And if you can donate, great. Any donation, no matter how small, it adds up. I appreciate it. And the GoFundMe is for getting me to my book launch in November. I have to book a flight. I had to buy a passport. I've still got some book fees that I'm responsible for. And the hotel in Vancouver is going to be ungodly expensive. I think I probably underestimated the cost on that, but they haven't told us which hotel that they're having everything at yet. So I can't estimate it very well. So, but I want to get there because I want to spread the word about surviving together, about that there is hope after going through trauma. Healing is possible. By being able to go to the book launch, I'll actually be able to speak on the authors panel to everybody who is there for the America's Awards Summit. And it's a pretty big venue. So I really hope to make a lot of connections there to either springboard into some other speaking engagements about trauma, because I would love to kind of get involved in that and do what I do here, but do it out in the world for organizations. But also just spreading the message of surviving together, that we're out here and there's people that you can rely on. The other thing with this GoFundMe, and you can either go to the community page or you can go to the GoFundMe link itself. And I've got a description of, why I'm doing this and all of that, is even if you can't financially support me, if you can spread the message out on your social media, whether that's Facebook or Instagram or your YouTube channel, or if you've got, people you think that would be okay hearing this message, sending them out an email, just spreading the message. And even if you don't think that person, is going to donate, ask them to spread the message. So maximum exposure is, the best way I have to accomplish my goal. It's a $6,000 goal. It's pretty lofty, but I think that, the more people out there who know about it and, that we can touch, somebody donates $5, somebody donates $10, $20, all that adds up. And so, yeah, if you can put it out there in the universe and encourage everybody who gets it to put it out there even further, because I just want to reach as many people as possible to try and meet this goal. So yeah, I really, really appreciate it. And thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of those who I know have already shared it out, and to those of you who were able to donate. I know some of you just, absolutely can't, and that's totally, totally fine. I just appreciate the fact that you're sharing the message out, because that's your way of helping me. And it is just, it means the world to me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, I think that's about all I have today. It's about an hour show. Wow. I think this is the shortest show I've had in a while. So if you guys can stick around, if you want to stick around after the outro, our lovely Jimena created this outro for us. We'll eventually get a video going along with it. I tried to get something, but I need to get the track. Jimena, if you're still here, I need you to send me the MP3, because I have the MP4, which is what I have to post here on StreamYard. But in order to put a video with the audio, the software that I'm using does not want to put two MP4 files together. So I think I need to get the MP3 for it. And I thought I had it, but I can't find it. So Misha, you shouting it out is help enough. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. That is the kind of support that, I know I can rely on you guys for, which is just absolutely fabulous. You believe enough in me and this channel and what I'm trying to do to get me someplace that is going to help me spread the message even wider and shout our message from the rooftop. And I'm excited about that. So yeah, if I have to walk there, I'm freaking going to Vancouver. I just got notification yesterday that my passport is being mailed. So I should have it by Monday. So cross your fingers that all the information is correct, that I don't have to send it back for any corrections or anything. And then cross your fingers that they actually send my birth certificate back, because it's a pain in the butt to try and get an original one, because it's from North Carolina and it's just like, it's just, oh my gosh, is it a hassle? So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. I actually do have a rough draft of my book chapter already done. And I took a break from it, and I'm going to go back to it. I'm not sure if this weekend, but maybe during the week. And I need to buff up the talking about trauma section, I think, a little bit. And we'll kind of see where we get with that. So don't forget your mission with the You Matter messages. All right. Send those to me, SurvivingTogether, SASS@gmail.com. I would love to see what you guys do and spreading kindness and positive affirmations out there in the world. So, with that, I will say goodbye for now. Happy Father's Day to any fathers out there, if you're going to be celebrating in any way. And my heart goes to you for any of you who have lost your fathers. You can say a quiet prayer of remembrance. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. No, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. He says, best of luck on your success. And I really appreciate it. Your guys' support means the world to me, truly. I wouldn't be doing this if you guys didn't show up. So I'm 100% honest every time I say, you make the channel. And every time there's somebody new who comes in and I'm just yapping away and I see somebody greet them so warmly and so openly, my heart soars. You guys are doing it. And it makes me so proud of this community. So pat yourselves on the back because you've done a wonderful job in creating this community and making this space what it is. So with that, remember, you are worthy, you are valuable, and you are loved just the way you are for who you are. So hugs and love for me. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. And I will see you on Wednesday at 6 p.m. for our regular Surviving Together show. Or if you're interested, 9 p.m. tonight, I will be back on and I will be streaming with Sammy with After the Bars, and we'll be covering the Canadian hockey players trial if you are interested in that. And that'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern. That's where it's sitting right now. If there's any changes, just look on the thumbnail and you'll see it there. So have a good one, y'all. Bye.
Through the fire, through the rain, we have walked through endless pain. But we stand, we rise again. Stronger now, we break the chain. Surviving together, hearts open wide, lifting each other through every tide. The past may have shaped us, but it won't define. Together we heal, together we shine. Every tear, every scar tells the story of who